bring in Subhash Chandra Bose again. Okay, it may seem like a personal bias, but nothing like it. Just for the contextual understanding, I'm bringing him again in here. Because if you look at this time, he was not sitting quiet. ये क्या करते हैं? He goes to Germany. Subhash Chandra Bose goes to Germany. And he meets Hitler. Because he believed in the idea that enemy is friend. Now you understand why am I calling Hitler enemy's enemy? Because British are our enemy and British are the enemy of Hitler. So he believed that Hitler should be our friend. Why are we not going and contacting Hitler? So he goes to Nazi Germany, and there's even an image, like a pictorial representation where it's shown that he meets Hitler. And he says that we need your support and we need you to be our ally in this particular perspective. Now, that's what I mean when I say कि Indian freedom struggle ना बहुत आप commonly देख लेते हैं. Many people would say it was Gandhi who gave us independence, या INC का जो political game था, that gave us independence. I don't think that's the right way to put it, because no one person or no one party or no one movement was responsible for Indian freedom struggle. If you look at it, even World War II was responsible for giving us freedom. You cannot ignore the contribution of Subhash Chandra Bose here. You cannot ignore the contributions made by Bhagat Singh. So yes, there was INC, not to take away the credit, did work in the political processes. Mahatma Gandhi worked on his space, very rightly said and presented. But you can't ignore other factors in here. Now, when I talk about Subhash Chandra Bose, one more thing I would like to highlight here, because there was a lot of debates in popular media and they can ask you a question about, you must know a little history about it. So, okay. Now, Japan said we are declaring a war against UK and USA. So, Japan declared a war against UK and USA. Now, if you know a little about geography, Japan said if you want to attack UK, we will attack Burma and India because those are the colonies of Britain. So, what Japan did is Japan started marching towards Burma. And there were a lot of soldiers from the British Indian Army who were placed there. So, actually, Japan captured many of these soldiers, what do you call it, prisoners of war. They become prisoners of war during this time. So, look at it, try and understand. They were Indians serving in the British Indian Army, made to fight against Japan. Japan captures them and makes them prisoners of war. Subhash Chandra Bose sees this as an opportunity. He flies, okay, maybe he goes through ship or whatever. He goes to Japan. और जापान जाकर ही बोलते हैं यार ये तो इंडिया के लोग हैं, ठीक है ना, were made to serve in the British Indian Army, so let me form my own army. So actually जो आप आर्मी के बारे में सुनते हैं, which is called the Indian National Army, या फिर also called the Azad Hind Fauj, who were the people serving in Azad Hind Fauj? They were none other than the prisoners of war who were once fighting on the British side, captured by Japan, जिनको जो है सुभाष चंद्र बोस ले लेते हैं अपनी तरफ, and actually forms an entire army. Can you believe it? So fascinating. He builds an entire army by the name Azad Hind Fauj. Absolutely awesome. And this was, of course, led by Mohan Singh. Again, an important figure here, but that's what is called the Azad Hind Fauj. So you must remember that Azad Hind Fauj was actually formed out of these prisoners of war who were captured in Japan. So that's one point that I wanted to make in here. Coming back to Quit India movement, I told you many Indians were imprisoned, and there was a heated environment all through India. Now, the Viceroy said, चलो यार बैठ के बात करते हैं, बातचीत से मुद्दा सुलझाते हैं. तो शिमला कॉन्फ्रेंस बुलाई गई. अब भाई शिमला कॉन्फ्रेंस में you had INC, you had Muslim League, you had Jinnah, you had Mahatma Gandhi, you had Jawaharlal Nehru, everybody was there. But again, the problem was same. Muslim League and INC couldn't solve the differences. INC was not wanting two-nation theory to function. Muslim League said, we would take nothing less than two nations. We want two nations. तो फिर से शिमला कॉन्फ्रेंस भी इनकंक्लूसिव रही, उससे कुछ नहीं मिला. तो अब ब्रिटिश ने हमें क्लियरली बोला यार आप डिसाइड कर लो आप क्या चाहते हो. डू यू रियली वांट अस टू गो और यू वांट अस टू कंटिन्यू? नाउ इतने समय तक दे वर नॉट रेडी टू लीव. Now they were too eager to leave. You need to understand it. They could have waited a little more, settled down the differences, but no. They said, we'll give you a plan. This is the final plan. Take or do not take. They said, we'll give you a plan which is called the Mountbatten Plan. Simple plan.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Uh, but you mentioned that Subhash Chandra Bose was actually in talks with Hitler also to side with Indians and help.
Yeah.
So what happened on that
Nothing
front?
conclusive came out of it. Nothing conclusive came out of those talks. Particularly also because you need to understand that Subhash Chandra Bose and INC were not on the same page. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is, Indian leadership was headed by INC. So अगर आप वर्ल्ड पर्सपेक्टिव से देखें तो इंडिया में दो ही सेंटर्स ऑफ पावर थे. एक तो ब्रिटिश जो colonial masters थे, और एक INC which was the popular party and which was the face of India, so to say. So see, the point that I'm trying to highlight, whose question was that, by the way, so that I can address you?
Pile.
Yes, Payal. So if you look at it this way, let's imagine that Indian National Congress at this time would have been in the hands of Subhash Chandra Bose. Let's say he was the leader. And now imagine him going to Hitler. Do you think it would have changed something?
He would have carried more weight in his
Yeah.
word.
Yeah. Because though Subhash Chandra Bose was very popular, but he was not the face of our country. So nothing much could be leveraged out of that meeting, though I could say Hitler did, again, this is unofficial, we don't have records for this, but he did show him the way to Japan. And who knows, it was a planned place where, he was sent to Japan and he formed the Indian National Army in there. And that did build pressure on Britain. We must not forget this. बहुत massive pressure बनाया सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने ब्रिटिश पे. That's for a fact. So no, Apayal, nothing conclusive in the sense that there was no meeting or no treaty or as such that came out of it. Simply because Subhash Chandra Bose was not the face of India this time, at least. Okay, do I make
Right,
sense to you?
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Mountbatten Plan आता भी, and Mountbatten Plan is very simple. Simple in the sense it says we are creating Pakistan, that is the Muslim majority area. We are creating India, and princely states are free to choose. If they want to go to India, they can go to India. If they want to go to Pakistan, they can go to Pakistan. And if they want to separate, they can separate. Now, please understand, many people say कि INC ने इसको accept क्यों किया? क्योंकि deadlock solve ही नहीं हो रहा था ना. For a very long time, हम try कर रहे थे दोनों side से कि ये deadlock solve हो. But nothing conclusive came out of it. So the only option left was to agree to the Mountbatten Plan. So it's not that anybody wanted the violence. At least I don't choose to believe that, or what the bloodshed that happened. अब यहाँ पर गलती क्या हुई समझिएगा. Okay, so INC accepted, Muslim League accepted, and finally, bhai, India is going to get independent, but it would come with a division. Now understand this. How would you decide which areas will go to India and which areas would go to Pakistan? Okay, so cartographers were called, and without even surveying the ground, look at the area of India. Can you do it in months? Within months, the cartographers had a map in their hand. So, what do you think they did? They took up the sheets of paper, mapped it to scale, and line बना के बोल दिया ये India and Pakistan है. And that's the reason. I hope you read Manto. If you don't, please read him. You'll get a perspective. There were villages which were divided into two. Half of the village was in India and half of the village was in Pakistan. So such grave, misappropriations, misreadings, map making. So British end तक भी गलतियां करके गए. If you look at it, see the point is, okay, partition was inevitable. Personally, I believe इतनी चीजें आगे निकल चुकी थी कि partition होना ही था. But it could have been more systematic. It could have been more planned. Because by this time the communal riots also started at huge pace. So we can't say that Indian National Congress should have said a no or Muslim League should have. We were way above it now. अब वो time निकल गया था when you can think of a patch up happening between these two. That was not possible because the communal riots were at its peak. It was everybody was made to believe that this is for the good of everyone. And see, there is a history to it. British were planning this for long. एकदम से नहीं हुआ है. अगर आपने पूरा lecture सुना, तो you would have been able to connect to what I'm saying. And then, okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is the problem was not with partition. The problem was how misplanned, how uh, how unruly and how brutish, how violent it was. It could have been stopped because there have been partitions before, and some of them have been peaceful also. So I'm not saying it would have been completely peaceful, but maybe a little more attention could have been paid to the maps that were made, the divisions that were done, because all this happened in much hurry. 46 में तो आप रिजेक्ट करके आए हैं, 47 में आप माउंट बैटन प्लान ले आए, फेब्रुवरी माउंट बैटन प्लान, कैन यू बिलीव इट, February 21st is Mountbatten Plan accepted, and August 1947 we are independent. So it's literally months that this entire thing was done. So that was the entire story that I tried to kind of weave for you. Of course, I've just tried to give a very bird's eye view of the entire scenario, because that's what is relevant for you. I hope it made some sense to you. And those who say history does not repeat and we don't need to read it, I think this is what I would like to summarize with, because history may not repeat, but it definitely rhymes. So we definitely need to take some lessons, and we need to understand with what happened in past. So I will stop the sharing in here, but there would be some discussions that I would like to have with you for next 15 minutes. So I'll just stop sharing. Can I have your understanding, or what do you infer from the entire? What are the lessons that you draw? And I would like everybody to speak, because come on, it's you're preparing for a GDPR. So yeah, can we start with Singh? What is your learning out of this?
So, am I audible?
Yeah, sure, you are.
So first of all, any moment or any product to be a success, you need a vision and you need a leader to make a difference. And you should know how to calm people down, how to sort of control people. I mean, we have Maslow's hierarchy something. And before starting any
Theory of hierarchy.
process, yeah, and before starting anything or any process, you should research good about it and then implement it. So those were, I think, my learnings from this.
Okay, thank you so much, Suraj. Thank you for sharing your comments there. Yeah,
Thank
Medha.
you.
I had a question.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Ma'am, like you mentioned that they suddenly came up with the Mountbatten Plan,
Mm-hmm.
the Britishers.
Mm-hmm.
So could they have postponed or delayed the independence? Like it happened so fast.
Yeah, they
So
could
why
have.
didn't they did that?
They should have. I call them sadists. I see it as a sadist move, Rahul. They were literally desperate to leave by the end of 1945. Desperate. Simply because they had
But
उनका
ma'am,
काम हो गया था. आपको जितना लेना था आप ले चुके थे. And also, yeah, there's somebody saying something.
yeah, ma'am, one opinion that I have is actually having read about the times of World War. So Britain was very much under debt, and India was kind of a liability to them. So that's why I think they wanted to leave eagerly.
Yeah, that's one of the perspectives. World War had literally broken the back of British. Although they won, please understand कि वो जीत जरूर गए थे, but वो बहुत कुछ हार चुके थे इस process में. So yes, Shreyansh is right. That's also one of the perspective. But I don't see India as a liability. But yes, Shreyansh, they had a lot of international pressure also by this time, and especially from USA. USA was pestering them that now you give India independence, because of course they had a colonial past also. But yeah, World War II definitely had an impact on how things speeded up by this time. They were literally, there's one more point that I would like to talk about here. Actually, after World War II, you see a change of party leadership in Britain also. So before World War II, it was the Conservative Party, and after World War II, it was the Labour Party. And by the way, Labour Party was always in favor of giving independence to India. So even that would have contributed, Rahul, the change of party in Britain.
And ma'am, one more thing that world was moving towards more collaborative manner. Like there was formation of United League of Nations, and we were moving towards United Nations in 1948. It actually came up. So that was a kind of scenario in which the colonization would kind of end.
That's what I said. There was international pressure. So pressure was because for this very reason. Um, I would say UN Rahul was at very nascent stage at this time. It had just taken over from the League of Nations after League of Nations were not very successful. So you see UN coming only by 1945. That is after the end of World War II. So I won't say that UN was a very powerful entity at this particular time, but yes, the international pressure did play the part in here, Rahul, if I may put it this
One more question
way.
that
Yeah,
I
please
had was that
go ahead.
you mentioned about like, could the INC have stopped the Bhagat Singh? Like you said that there are views about that, because didn't they had powers to stop the Farsi of Bhagat Singh, hanging of him? Like they could have, and then they could have sided him with them, and like people were already attached to him. So why didn't that
Sided तो
happen?
कभी नहीं हो पाता राहुल. I don't know whether they could have saved or not. I being a very great Bhagat Singh fan would believe कि शायद कुछ हो सकता था. Though the bad thing is you can only judge when it's from the outside perspective.
Mhm.
We don't know what happened there. But yes, uh, Rahul, I would like to mention कि कभी भी वो साथ तो नहीं आ पाते. This is for sure. Because can you imagine when Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose could not be on the same page? Do you really think Bhagat Singh and Mahatma Gandhi could have been on the same page? Because let's agree that by this time, the face of INC was Mahatma Gandhi. So you could not do away with him being at the forefront. Now, who was better or not, that's of course a never ending debate. But I don't think they could have, they could have functioned together. वो कभी नहीं हो पाता, because the ways were absolutely different. The beliefs were absolutely different. The ideology was absolutely different. So yeah, I don't think they could have worked together. They could have saved his hanging. Again, there are two opinions. There's one section that believes कि उनके बोलने से कुछ नहीं होता. Mahatma Gandhi even wrote a letter. And but you know what I believe? If Bhagat Singh would not have died, it would not have served the purpose. Actually, he died for a cause. So there's a very famous quote by him. If you are interested, you may read two of his very famous essays. I don't know. Some of you must have read. नहीं पढ़े तो please पढ़िएगा. One is called Philosophy of Bomb, and the second is Why I Am an Atheist. So he has given reasoning for all that he had believed on all his life. Why I Am an Atheist is an essay about why, of course, he is an atheist and why he said that religion is opium of masses. And in Philosophy of Bomb, he explains why he is in favor of violence. So on the on that note, I would like to highlight one fact here. When Bhagat Singh was about to hang the next day, and his younger brother came to meet him when he was in jail. So the younger brother said, "Why are you leaving us? And why are you dying?" And I said, so he says, and this I would like to quote him. He says, "जिस धत से कोई मक्तल में गया, वो शान सलामत रहती है. इस जान की कोई बात नहीं, ये जान तो आनी जानी है." I know it's a history class, but just mentioning it on Rahul's question, because that by this he meant कि it's the manner in which I'm dying that would inspire the youth to come, और वो हुआ भी. So although I may sound bad when I'm saying this, but I think his going had a purpose in the freedom struggle. Rahul, is that okay? Any more things that you would like to add to that? Medha, can we listen to you? Like any observations out of it? Medha, if you can hear me and would like to give your 2 cents. Are others able to hear her? Because I am not able to hear her.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So maybe Medha, you can look at your mic or something. Meanwhile, I'll move to Payal. Payal?
Right. So my take from this freedom struggle, all the movements that came and went. So the thing that I relate to is you have to be more invested and connected um, to the establishment that you're a part of, because as you said that people like Bhagat Singh and many more were a part of this struggle from their teens even. And I cannot imagine, I didn't even understand politics until I was, I don't know, 20 or something.
So right.
So, yes. So, and even like in our school, we had a story about some boy in Maharashtra who died at the hands of police while he was 13 or 14. So I'm always in awe with such people, that they were so awakened given their maturity and age.
True.
So this just proves to me the fact that no matter how much you plan at the higher level, how many movements you draft, whatever you deliberate and discuss, these things have to also grow and flourish at the grassroots level. And that is why I think there Mahatma Gandhi was successful in building the connect of the upper and the um, for the lack of a better word, lower levels.
Wow. Great, Payal. I liked your observation. I completely agree with it. Rahul, would you like to pitch in with something? Rahul
Yeah,
or
ma'am.
Ronak?
Just
Yeah.
adding on the similar lines, like they all had the end target was the same, and then all of them had their methods to achieve that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you can't count on what was the right one, but yeah. Okay. Shreyansh?
So, like Payal said, the connect was very important. And what I observe is many of these leaders like Gandhi, Nehru, and in fact, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, they were philosophical thinkers. They were very well read. They had a very good understanding of the society in general. They took their time to understand it, which was very important. Like if we think of it from the business point of view as well, we need to understand our market very well, so as to be successful in any of the initiatives or marketing campaign that we may launch. And I see the civil disobedience, the Quit India movement, all these kind of movements as marketing campaigns, which were marketing freedom to the Indian masses. And since these leaders had very good understanding of the mass, so they could basically market it very well, and this eventually turned into independence. So that's my take on it.
+1. Agreed. Absolutely correct. Well put. Who else is left? I think Karam is left. Can we hear you out? If
Am I audible?
Yes, Medha. Yeah, please go ahead.
One thing I observed was that the Britishers were quite good in bending the situation according to their advantage, and that always helped them. But the one thing they lacked was they didn't understand the people, like the diversity in the people's culture. So those minute changes made the big difference, and
Mhm.
which helped Mahatma Gandhi, and that's what the main thing difference I found.
Okay. Fair point, Medha. I think Karam, did you speak? I don't think so. Can we hear you out? So that was my side of the story. I hope it made sense to you. I'll share some relevant news articles around it, which may help you further. I'll share it on the group. And I hope the session turns out helpful to you in some way. All the very best for all of your future endeavors. Yeah.
Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt
yeah. Are there any
again, but
questions?
just
Yeah.
before we end,
Yeah.
can you also throw some light on the events that shaped India after the independence,
Actually,
especially
yeah.
in Bengal? But if there is something else also,
Yeah.
can you?
So there are a lot of things from 1947 to present day. Do you want me to talk about something specific, or maybe we can plan out 1 hour session more on the future things? Or is there any specific that I can talk about in 5-10 minutes if you would?
So what
One
comes in
one
my mind is only the conflicts with Pakistan and the eventual
Okay.
formation of Bangladesh.
Okay. We can talk about it
And
in another. Yeah.
one more thing which I believe is very much less talked about is the era of emergency and the Indira Gandhi era.
Mm,
So if
pretty
you could
much.
include that in the session, that would be of great help.
So, if you want, we can take this up in the Indian polity session. The first 30 minutes can be the political history from 1947 onwards, if you are interested, and then we can move to the
Yeah,
basic polity. So, what we can do
Yes,
is
if
we
you
can
can
talk
help
about.
us
That will be
establish the
going
connect.
great. Yeah.
So, what we can do is we can take up political history. So, political history basically means how was the constitution drafted, and moving forward, what were the political events that happened? Like how did the INC became the single largest party, and there was a one-party dominance. And then, of course, we can talk about emergency a bit. What shaped in the form of national emergency? What was armed rebellion? And how did what was the president's angle to it? We can do it, but I'm not sure whether we'll be able to finish it up, the polity part into us. Okay, let me just talk to Shubham about it and see what can be done about it. I will get back to, because that is also one of his decisions to make. But yeah, I'll definitely cover in brief the political history on 28th, I think. Yeah. And I would make sure that we take up emergency, because yes, that's very important.
Thank
Okay.
you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you,
That's
everyone.
great.
Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Thank you.